All right, so y'all are gonna be very upset with me with this review, because I don't really like to have my videos like really long, but I start talking and then I start getting excited about what I'm talking about, and then I look up and it's like an hour, and it makes me sad because I don't want my videos to be that long. Now I heard that like it's good for you to have long videos, because I think YouTube likes, like, the algorithm likes long videos, I guess, but I don't like long videos. But anyways, this one's probably not going to be, and y'all are probably not going to be happy to hear me say what I have to say about this movie, because it seemed like there were quite a few people who did like the Black Adam movie. But I'll let y'all know right now, I feel like for quite a few movie reviews, I have been like, oh, I did enjoy this movie despite this and that. But the critic in me is back now for this movie in particular. Now, I don't know what it is. Maybe I like the action, but this movie was just, it was cheesy. I'm sorry. I have nothing against The Rock. Okay, I really don't. I have nothing against Dwayne Johnson. But I just don't think that they should have cast him as the Black Adam. I guess he fits the bill. It's like they said, okay, give us somebody who's tall, who's muscular, who's good looking. And they said, oh, we have Dwayne. And I think, if I remember correctly, somewhere somebody said that he was like, I want to play Black Adam. That he had been saying that for quite some time now. And they were finally just like, okay, we'll let him play Black Adam, since, that part in the timeline has finally come up on us. But I just don't feel like I don't know, there's something about him that just screams, it's something about, I don't want to say people who have done like roles that are not serious, and you can't really see them in a serious role anymore because of that. But at the same time, I don't know. It just didn't seem like he was like fitting that role. I don't know what it is. I just don't know. I don't know what it is about him. Like I could see him as Black Adam because he can make these serious faces, but at the same time, like I said, it just something about it just didn't rub me the right way. Okay. But anyways, I can't explain it, y'all. I don't know. I can't explain it. But anyways, like I said, I have nothing against him. I think he's a great person, I guess. I don't know him personally. I have nothing against him. So please, if you're like a mega fan, don't throw stones at me, okay? Anyway, so the movie starts with, I think it was like a flashback. Now, I don't remember any of those names, okay? So, and I'm not even about to try to pronounce them. Basically, like, I thought it was pretty cool that where they were, I think it was called Kadak. It was like that area at that time, and then basically it turned into like what it was modern day, which was kind of depressing because like it was oppressed by intergang. And so there was a crazy madman who was like oppressing people, and then there was like a young slave boy who basically was like, he was trying his absolute best to still be hopeful despite all this. And they chose, I guess it was some wizards. Y'all know how I feel about that if you've seen any of my videos. They chose this young boy to be the new, well, we call him Shazam, but he was the Black Adam, basically. And they tried to throw us for a loop. That's another thing I don't really appreciate with some of these movies. It's like they try to throw you for a loop, but the loop doesn't quite really work. But anyways, I guess you can tell, okay, clearly he was the Black Adam, right? Big surprise. So then they had like this crown. I think it was called the Sabbat. This crown. And so I feel like, okay, it's like, okay, look at that crown. That crown screams everything evil, malicious, bad, okay? Whatever. So a young woman, well, I don't want to call her middle-aged, but young woman, she had a son. She was a part of the resistance, right? She was like, listen, we have been oppressed for too long. Somebody's got to do something. And so her brother and some colleagues of hers they went out to try and, I guess, get the crown, to try and, I guess, use it. I don't even know what they thought was going to happen, but try and use it to fight against these people. Her colleagues then got messed up, offed. And then she's stuck in there, and they basically like, okay, well, we got one of your people, and what you're gonna do, you're gonna summon this whatever this is, and or we're gonna shoot this other guy. And so she was like, fine. And so she starts to like, read the little thing, which they didn't have anybody that they hired to read it. But anyways, I guess they didn't have anybody. So she was reading the thing and she summons the Black Adam. Of course, they call him Teth Adam, but we call him Black Adam. So she summons the Black Adam and he basically was like, why did they bring me here? And then all hell starts to break loose and he sort of saves her. That's what it kind of did seem like. Because like I'm telling y'all, he was looking at them like, I couldn't care less about y'all's lives. And he didn't. Like all them people, they're gone. But it kind of did seem like he kind of saved her a little bit. Then she gets in the car, I think with her brother, and then they're like shooting missiles and stuff at him or trying to like stop him, and he's like just basically going up to them and tapping them, and they're out of there. And then he grabs one of the missiles, and I guess it had I forgot what it was that was like basically like hurtful to him. And so I don't know how they managed to get him, because listen, Dwayne Johnson is a huge dude. I don't believe that her and her brother drug his body and put it in the car and was able to get back home. I don't believe that, but they did. And for whatever reason, he was in her son's room and he was like just geeking out. Like he's got all of like the posters on the wall, like the stereotypical young kid. And he's just like I said, he's just got this I don't give a crap attitude. He's just like, the kid's all in his face asking him these questions. He's just like, kid, get out of my face before you end up through that wall. And I'm like, you might want to listen to him. And then he just has this annoying habit of flying through the walls. And then they even confronted him and they were like, you do know that there's like a door. Like in this time, we use doors. Like, did y'all not have doors in y'all's time? And he was like, oh, we did. And I was like, so you just flying through the wall on purpose, causing unnecessary destruction. Like this woman is already living under some messed up, situations, and you're gonna add now needs to replace her wall by flying through the walls. So doesn't care about life in people's houses either. Okay, that he ain't paying no rent at, mind you. So they still had the crown, and I'm like, why do they still have that? Get rid of it. And then Amanda Waller, which we all know her from all of the DC movies, she basically was like, okay, clearly he's a threat. He ain't no Superman. He's a madman that they just brought back from out of nowhere. He's a problem. He's going to be a problem. So then he sends I forgot what they named, the whatchamacallit squad. The whatchamacallit squad, I can't even remember what their name was, to basically go and deal with him. And I'm like, so basically like a knockoff Justice League. That's what their name was. The Justice Society. Is that what it was? So basically a knockoff Justice League. So I guess she couldn't get in contact with them. So she was like, I'll settle for y'all next. And so they had some very interesting people. Cyclone, I gotta admit, her powers were very beautiful. The guy, I think his name was Adam Smasher, who got really, really big. Okay, you might need somebody like that. Like I said, I feel like this was like a knockoff Justice League and Avengers. Hawkman, and I was like, oh, so is that like Hawkman from like the cartoon series? I was waiting for them to introduce somebody like that into the series. I couldn't really understand their powers, I'm gonna be really honest, especially the guy that was leading them. Like some of them, I just couldn't understand how their powers work. Like I get it, the Cyclone, she made cyclones. The guy, Adam Smasher, he turns big like Ant-Man. But with Hawkman, so did he have like super strength too? Because he listen, when they found Black Adam, they were going head to head. And he was bodying them hits, okay? He was taking those hits. And I was like, I feel like if he really wanted to, he probably could end this guy's life. But he's taking these hits. So does he have super strength too? Because I wasn't under the impression that the Hawk people had super strength. But I guess they do. And then the other guy was having like visions. And they weren't ending well. Let's just say it that way. And then Hawkman was like, we gonna figure something out. I guess that they had like a really tight relationship. And he was like, we gonna figure something out. And I was like, well, according to his visions, apparently not. But anyways, let me get back on track. Them trying to explain to Adriana that they're basically like, this guy's not your hero. He's not your Superman. He's not here to save you. He's a crazy man. And she was like, no, he's gonna help us. Like, we're being oppressed by Intergang. He's here to help us. To save us. And they were basically like, no, you got it wrong, man. Like, you got it morbidly wrong. And them trying to get him to understand, like, you can't just be going around here throwing people off rooftops. You can't just be grabbing people and flying up to unreasonable distances and dropping them. He's like, why? Like his whole attitude, it's almost like trying to reform a psychopath, like trying to get them to understand that you have to have empathy. It's like this thing called empathy, and then you like looking up in the Webster dictionary. This is empathy. This is what it says. This is what it means. Like, I'm gonna need you to feel a little bit more of it and have a little bit more compassion and empathy for human life. And he was just like, his whole attitude was just like, why? If they're the bad guys, then they have to go. Y'all, I'm telling you. And then they were trying to hide the crown, the Sabbat, from the Justice Society, and they were like, you don't want the crown when whoever's coming forward comes forward. That's what you don't want. You don't want it to be on you. And then the guy who was supposed to be, I guess, one of her associates, Ishmael, that was his name. Turns out he's like the leader of like the Intergang little group. And then on top of that, he claimed that he was like a descendant of the Cuckoo King that had enslaved all them people. And he basically was like, well, I want the crown. I want to crown myself as the next king or whatever. And they were like, really? And so they were chasing after a child, her son, Amon, mind you, for the crown. Shot his uncle in the stomach. I was like, now look what you done. You done got your brother shot. At one point, I was like, okay, maybe they should just give him the crown, because he's on a rampage. But at the same time, I was like, what is he going to do when he gets the crown? And so the Justice Society, they were like, okay, well, he didn't took your son. They know we have the crown. We're going to make a trade. And so they were like, okay, look, they didn't went to the little hideout, and they were like, okay, we have the crown. It's about, we'll give it to you if you give us the kid. He was like, okay, I'll give you the kid. And they're like, oh, so are you gonna give him to us? Like, you're not gonna like try and shoot him? And they're like, oh, no, I just want the crown more than anything. And so they were like, okay. And then they try to make the trade, and he tries to basically shoot him anyways, basically. Like, clearly not a Memphis word. He tries to shoot the kid, and it was all planned. Like, that's the crazy part. At first I was like, well, maybe he just didn't want to keep his end of the bargain. But it didn't make sense at the same time, because I was like, wouldn't he want the crown first, then try to shoot the kid? He didn't even really give it any time to really like make the exchange before he shot the kid or tried to shoot him. So I was like, what's the point even? And so he tries to shoot the kid, and everything goes into slow motion. And of course his mother was like, no, that was like her only child. And Black Adam, this is another thing that didn't make sense to me. I get it. He spent some time with Adriana, and she was like pumping him up, whether or not he was receiving it or not. Oh yeah, he is our hero. He can be our hero. And the Justice Society is like, that is not a hero. That is a supervillain. That is an anti-supervillain. We don't know, but he ain't no hero. Spending time around her son, which I'm guessing reminded him of his son, and learning or trying to learn empathy, I guess. Like, I feel like it was going in one ear and out the other one, but I guess somewhere in that very short window of time, that very short, unrealistic window of time, he learned some kind of empathy. And when he saw him shoot that, or try to shoot that boy, he was like, all bets off the table. And basically, and at first I was like, see, I need them to stop turning every other villain and superhero into Raiden. Okay, they did it with Thor, and I'm sure it was cool, but I'm not gonna tolerate this. Okay, just stop it. All right. But anyways, he said all bets off the table. Lightning, thunder, whatever, and he just messes up everything. Thank goodness, the Justice Society was there to like protect the humans, like his mother, from being, disintegrated into ash with everything else that was in the area. And I did think that scene was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever he was trying to attack the guy, Ishmael, and then they all came to like protect the people who were like the weakest, like his mother at that point, and they got to him, but he still got injured. And then I guess for the first time he started to feel empathy, like, oh no, I've made a mistake. Like I said, I just don't feel like the time lapse was believable enough for me, but whatever. So then he starts to talk to Hawkman, which was the last person who I thought that he was going to have a heart-to-heart to, because they were trying to kill each other. And he was like, they got it wrong, basically. And because I kept looking at the statue that they apparently had that was supposed to be him. And I kept looking at that statue, and I was like, that doesn't look like him. at all. And so, I mean, it kind of did, but it didn't at the same time. And he starts to explain basically that the kid in the beginning was not it wasn't him, it was his son, basically. That his son was up there about to be, executed, and he was trying to stop them, and the CGI skinny version of him made me very uncomfortable. And he still wasn't even that skinny. Like, he still was like buff. I don't think I understand. But anyway, so he was up there. They're about to execute his son. And then that was when, like I said, the wizards chose him to be 10th Adam. And he basically stopped everything from happening. He managed to like help a lot of people, but they were still after him, and they figured, okay, we can't take him out, so let's just take out his family. And I think that they had took out his mom, and they were coming for his dad, but he managed to save his dad, and he was like, I'm so happy, Dad. And like he like transferred his like, powers to his dad. And I think it was like what happened with the actual Shazam movie, where he didn't actually like give his dad his powers. He copy pasted it. That makes sense. Like, cause that's what Billy did with his friends. He was like, everybody touch me and like say, well, he was like, call, my name. And they were like, Billy. And he was like, no, the name of this guy. And they're like, oh, Shazam. And then they all turned into their own versions. So I think that's what he did. But then when he turned back into his normal self, they were like, aha, we got you. And then they shot him. And that made me all kinds of upset. Cause I was like, really? And then he, of course, got mad and, acted accordingly. So he was saying it was my son. He was the one that was supposed to be this. He was supposed to be y'all superhero. Like, this wasn't supposed to be me. I was just mad because of what happened. And I was like, man, it wasn't supposed to be him. That kind of explains some things, because it seemed like his son was a little bit more like empathetic than he had ever been. But to his defense, his family was gone. His people, and everything had changed. Now they summoned him. Who said he wanted to be summoned? He was probably still mad about that. But anyways, like I said, he was telling him this. Like I said, I was shocked that he was even telling him that, because they weren't exactly friends. And so I was like, wow, that's okay. They kind of did throw me a little bit for a loop, but it was a very aggravating and obnoxious loop still. And so then, come to find out, what he did to Ishmael was exactly what he wanted to. That was the point that I was trying to get to before I got distracted. It's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted him to get rid of him, so that, because that was like the conditions basically for him to be able to accept the crown. And basically, and y'all, I contemplated not even doing a review on this because of this next part. It took me so long because of this, and then I forgot about it. But then when I started doing the review, I remembered, and I was like, great, now I got to talk about this. Now, another reason why I hated this movie, like I said, that's exactly what he wanted. See, that's another reason why they kept telling him, you can't just be going around frying people. It's exactly what he wanted. And then he literally got sent to hell, y'all. And then I don't even want to try to explain what happened. And then he literally comes back as the devil. That was the devil. I don't care what any of y'all said. The man was literally the Baphomet with horns on his head and a pentagram on him. That was the devil. Like, you know what? Y'all been playing games for a long time with this imagery. I don't like it. He basically came back as the devil. When I was looking at this movie, I was like, I was mad. But anyways, so he comes back and he's like strong. He's got all these kind of powers and whatnot. And I'm like, so he couldn't give us a heads up? This is what you were seeing? Or maybe he didn't exactly see that in particular, but he just saw impending doom. He kept telling the hawk guy, I've been looking through solutions. I've been trying, but nothing is working. Like, nothing is working to change what's going to happen. He was still determined. He was like, we're going to figure out something. He starts messing up everything. And basically, why was it at that point when he decides to make his appearance onto the scene for Black Adam to say, you know what? Since I feel so bad, I finally discovered this thing y'all have been telling me about called empathy and compassion and humanity. And I feel so bad because I could have really hurt Amon when I was trying to help him if I wouldn't have did what I did and just reacted like in a regular way, maybe I could have found some kind of way to save him and just not been such a brute and tried to fry everybody for everything. I'll go ahead with the Justice Society and I'll unshazam myself and I'll turn myself in. Why is it that when he decided to do that, that was when Ishmael came back as the devil? I was like, what kind of message is that sending? Not just the fact that he came back as the devil, and I'm never going to let that go, but the fact that after he learned what he was supposed to have been learned, that was when all hell broke loose, and he needed the powers anyways. And they were like, oh, we made a mistake because we can't fight this guy by ourselves. So let's go back and get Black Adam because we need him now. After all of that, like, he's no superhero, which I agree with them. Because I feel like he was just a loose cannon. So that was reasonable. That was a reasonable response. But let's go back and get Black Adam before it's too late. And then he decides to Shazam his powers back. Because Hawkman and what's his name were not getting the job done. As cool as his powers were, I feel like his powers, like I said, I still couldn't really understand the depth and the extent of his powers. But they were really cool. They were giving me like some Doctor Strange vibes. But they were pretty cool, but I still didn't really understand the depth and the extent of his powers to even be able to explain them to y'all. And so he basically, well he said his last words were, I have a plan. I finally figured out how I'm going to stop all of us from, he didn't say he was going to, he was going to survive. He didn't say that. He said, I saw you going and some other stuff happening. I'm not about to let that happen. But I found a way. And then tried to like block them out. And he was like, no, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do this to me. And he was like banging on the, force field. And he managed to get in there at the last minute. And he was getting his butt kicked. He was getting his behind toe off. And I was like, was he sure when he said that he was going to survive? Because the way that it's going, the way he's getting his butt kicked, the way he's getting his butt handed to him, I'm not so sure anymore. But anyways, so he, like I said, I wasn't so sure. But like I said, he was trying to prevent Hawkman from dying. At first I thought that they were both gonna die. But he, like I said, he came up with a plan, and I guess like part of his plan was I don't even know where to start to begin to like you can describe what his powers were. But he helped Black Adam, basically, like I said, be able to get into a place where he could Shazam his powers back. And they basically brought him there so that he could help them fight Ishmael. And then that's the crazy part. After all this stuff that he did, Hawkman still almost died, but he didn't, thankfully. I was like, thank goodness. Like I said, Black Adam got there in time to stop him. And he worked with Hawkman, who was using his helmet because he had killed the guy. And I was like, God dang it. So basically, he just like traded in their lives for, basically sacrificed his life for his, basically. And he basically used a helmet to help Black Adam take him down, basically. And I was like, I'll be real honest, I didn't know. I didn't see them winning, especially after, like I said, he had released some things out onto everybody in the city. I didn't think he was going to make it, but I didn't think any of them were going to make it, but they made it. And I was like, well, thank goodness. And so, of course, everybody was upset because the guy died. They were able to save everybody. And so at that point, I guess Black Adam, like I said, I feel like the timeline for all of this was just a little too quick. It was a little too short. But he was like, okay, well, I guess I am decent at this, like, saving people thing. And he just decided to go ahead and basically be, I guess, the protector of that city, which is what Adriana wanted, And then one of the end credit scenes comes up. I don't think Miss Wilder was buying it $2 for $1. I don't think that she still really thought that he was, going to be a safe thing to have on the loose. And Superman shows up, of course, and he was like, we need to have a talk. And I feel like even that, like I said, this entire idea, like Black Adam and all that, it was all very heavily influenced by The Rock. Like I said, I have nothing against him. I just feel like it was just a weird, it was a weird fitting. Now there was somebody who said like he was very adamant about wanting to see Henry Cavill play Superman again and wanted a movie with, Superman. And I think that they were supposed to like be in a movie anyways. But now more than likely it's probably definitely going to happen because he said he wanted it to happen. And I was like, okay, I guess. And I think he's also supposed to be in a Shazam movie. And people were talking about, oh yeah, he's going to kick Shazam's butt. And I was like, but what did Shazam do? What did Shazam do to deserve that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why do we always have to like put characters up against each other? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we fight like actual evil together? That's like with the Superman movie. Like, I'm a little bit like nervous because it's like, okay, so what story plot are y'all gonna conjure up for a reason for why they should be at odds with each other? And maybe it's because Superman is like, you're not a real superhero. You can't be checked by anybody except for me, and not even maybe me because all he has to do is blow some kryptonite powder in his face, and those plans are canceled. But what reason do they have to be at odds with each other? But I'm sure they're going to make up some kind of reason for them to fight, just like they did with Superman and Batman. But I guess they had more of a reason to be at odds with each other because of the stuff that was going on at the time. But still, I don't know, y'all. I think it's that ending scene when Ishmael turned into the devil. I think that's what killed it for me. That right there, like I said, mixed with like me not knowing how I feel about The Rock playing Black Adam, and that part, I'm sorry, I kind of hated this movie. I hated this movie so much. There were some scenes, like I said, like the part when he tried to shoot Amon, and then Black Adam put a stop to that real fast. That scene was really cool though. But other than that, I just wasn't here for this movie. I'm sorry. Like I kind of was excited. I kind of was excited to see it a little, but after I saw it, I was like, Can I undo the last hour and a half of my life? Can I rewind and make a different decision? No shade to like the actual like people who act in the movie. And I said no shade to The Rock. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Like at first whenever I saw him in there, I was like, okay, this seems like it was supposed to be kind of cool. And I thought that they were going to be like, so y'all remember Daredevil, right? With Charlie, I think his name was Charlie Cox. That level of brutality, that's what I thought he was going to come with. And I guess he kind of did, like I said, with the whole him not being empathetic to human life. And I feel like that's what they sold us on, that he was going to be on that level of like brutal. But I feel like it didn't deliver, okay? It didn't deliver, okay? And I don't know. But if you like the movie, I'm happy for you, but it didn't hit for me. I'm sorry. I usually go through like the whole thing. I skipped some parts because y'all, it was a little cheesy. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm sorry if I offended anybody. I feel like some people are they're gonna see me more as a critic now than a reviewer, but even in movies that I like, there's still stuff that I don't like. There's rarely going to be any movie ever created where I'm like, oh yeah, I like the entire movie from the beginning to the end, even the end credit scenes. Oh yeah, I sat through. I like rarely ever, I'm sure. Okay, so don't judge me for it, okay? But anyways, I'm still trying to digest it. He literally came back as the. Y'all tell me what y'all think down in the comments below.